Hello everyone, I'm Chris with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to On Any Motor Power Sports. That's right, the 2025 Ducati V4S. We're going to take it out for a ride and then we're going to come back, talk about the impressions, and then stay tuned for the second video because we're going to do a deep dive into all the electronics, into the dash, into all the little features that this new 2025 Ducati V4S Panigale has. This isn't just stock, we got the full Acura exhaust along with the Ducati tune, so this is gonna be a lot of fun to ride. So let's get on the road and see what she's like. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here we have the 2025 Panigale V4S. My recording, it's cold start. A couple notes, this has not been fully broken in. It does have the Acura full exhaust system. You can see with the Sport Evo. I think we're going to play around with some of the modes. We're going to stay in Sport for now, and then yeah, we'll see what we got here. Let's start this thing. Oh God, it's funny that the engine's currently warming up. Expect elevated idle speeds. This is for all of you people that don't understand why a cold start, the bike starts up at a higher RPM and then drops down. I get people who go, oh my God, something's wrong. No, nothing. It's supposed to do that. Got it. It won't even let me, there we go. It won't even let me clear it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, see the torque, and I dig that. That's a lot of fun. I don't know how you watch it while you ride though. Lean angle. So it's interesting. We'll go through the dash on a different video, but just right now, this is what you see. So now mode is its own button. We'll end up in Race Evo, but for now, we're going to stay in Sport Evo. We're going to see what that feels like at first. Okay, let's go. Very first initial impressions of the 25 V4S. The seat is considerably higher than my V4R. I am on my tippy toes. Note one, there is a ton of room with this seat. I just feel like I have miles to move around, and I love it. The mirrors actually, I think, work a little bit better with this new mounting point compared to the previous ones that are mounted about here. They're still in the same piece of material, but they're mounted slightly different. They vibrate, yes, but they somehow seem more clear. I don't know. I know you're so curious with this bike about the mirrors. I get it. The dash is fantastic to look at. I will say that even though you can see the power and torque numbers, I'm not sure that when I'm actually giving it the beans, I'm going to look down and see all that. Where it will be pretty sweet is when you have a GoPro or something mounted on the tank and it's looking at it. You'll get to see the power. You'll get to see the G meters, which I think is probably the coolest feature. I love a G meter. But also the lean angle and your throttle and brake input meter as well is pretty sweet. I quite like that. So that's the dash really quick as you're riding. Something I'm noticing is I'm needing to modulate the throttle probably more than I would expect. It's very responsive when we're in Sport Evo mode. So when I go to race A, I want to see how much more. We're in fourth gear, 3,000, 4,000 RPM. That's not quite, I mean, it's sort of a power band, but not really. And it's got some low and grunt. This exhaust sounds fantastic. It's hard to argue with manufacturer specs on equipment that they specifically engineered for a bike. I know there's other exhausts out there. I know some people love the different brands. I am a component of what the manufacturer partnered with that company to engineer with their bike. I got to keep remembering which way to shift. I keep wanting to go the opposite direction. Gotta love it. But the power, the torque, so far, fantastic. All right, I will say something. I have noticed a little bit of heat coming from this bike. It is in the usual Ducati area of the hamstring butt region.
but it's not that bad. Granted, we haven't been riding that long, so this could get significantly worse on surface streets, but there is some warmth there. It's not totally devoid at. Ducati hasn't got rid of it, so just know that there is some heat. At this moment, right now, it is very bearable and tolerable. It's perfectly fine. So like I said, we're gonna ride in sport mode here, Sport Evo. Probably have to pull off because I see someone going 5 miles an hour. But we're gonna go out there in Sport Evo, come back and race A's, just kind of feel the differences. Something that I'm having to recalibrate my brain to is how this 1103cc motor actually, or engine actually really works. Because where I'm used to having to rev more because I want to get in that power band of the R, you don't need to do that with the S, and it's very noticeable. So that's something that I gotta get used to. The most crazy place to ride a freaking bike. All right. That mid-range is nuts. Quick shifter, brand new bike, feels fantastic. I tell you what, the rear feels like it's got so much grip, and I know it doesn't, it's not quite really, oh my god, the torque in second gear. Whew. It quite enjoys being leaned over. It is very much a fan of being leaned over, and it wants to lean over. Long way around. This person, oh crap, all these people. Whew. So that little sprint, the torque feels fantastic. I feel like this is the most confident I've been in how the rear wheel feels under acceleration, especially these are new tires, so yeah, keep that in mind. But it's the most confident I felt with it, and quite happy with that, and I think that probably goes down to the double-sided swing arm. Of course, I could be full of it because, you know, what do I know? And I'm not a incredible racer by any stretch. Okay, yeah, go the other way. What are you doing? Just don't understand how. They just don't understand how that works, do they? Clutch is fantastic, really easy to use, as you would expect. So the brakes feel great. I mean, the high pures, do I notice any difference between them and Stylima's? No, on the road I probably won't. But the way this thing turns in and the confidence I feel already, I mean, I feel at home. It's a Panigale. I've always felt at home on Panigales. I will want to point out that the tank design is honestly rather noticeable as far as how my knees and legs and everything are tucked in. Quick shifter was like butter, second to third. My knees are nice and tucked in. It feels like a much more narrow bike. I feel it in my feet as well. I feel like I'm definitely more within the frame of the bike. Some of the other V4s, and mine included, you feel like you're kind of wrapping around it, where this feels like you're sucking into it. Let's give it a second as traffic winds down and we get a little separation here. Look at the 2025 Panigale V4S cruising up and down the streets, this road. It feels phenomenal. It feels rather light and easy on the hands. I feel like there's more grip in the rear than there's probably ever been. Again, it could be a placebo effect. We'll have to see. The front end of this, I know, is the controversial piece, aside from the swing arm. But guys, this thing looks special still. I know it's a Chinese bike, or it looks just like a Honda or Yamaha. Online, yes. Here, I don't know, man. It's really starting to get me feeling all special while I ride, and that's what Ducatis are about. Let's hear this exhaust. Oh, that's nice. All right, we are in race A mode. Rear ABS off. See how this thing feels. Now the tires are good and warm. Get around this bicyclist. Nice and calm. The seat position, I know it's always something unique that you find on a bike that piques your interest, but the seat position really gets me. I like how flat and wide they made this seat. Some older Panigales, they used to dig in under your hamstrings, and it's really uncomfortable. This not so much. It's such a flowy bike. Like, you take it to a track that's got nice flowy bits, you're gonna enjoy the hell out of it. It's honestly rather comfortable as well. Like, you got the electronic suspension. It's been a smooth ride. This is a nice smooth road, but it's also been a nice smooth ride. Let's have some fun through this little section here and feel what the chassis is like. Changed direction rather nicely. Yeah, stay on your side of the road. Oh, woo. Careful. Second gear's got a lot of torque. Like I said, got to remember, I changed riding styles. Brakes feel fantastic. All I know is I just ate that section for lunch. And apart from me not being that smooth, it's really the only part about it that was, you know, a little jarring. But that's me. I got to recalibrate to the type of bike this is, or the type of engine this is. I find myself getting on the throttle a little sooner than the bike likes. Now you might hear some wind noise. I'm noticing it too, but that's up where I'm at. It's not that bad. As far as the turbulent, the windscreen does a decent job for stock. The more I ride this thing, the more it wants me to go, and the more it wants me to give it more throttle, more lean, more everything. It's encouraging. It's got the right noises. Looks like a friggin' spaceship. The noise is quite nice. I'll give it that. I tell you what, for a brand new bike that needs more miles to break in, the quick shifter is rather good. It's a little clunky first to second, but not that bad. It definitely likes particular rev range, or it won't do anything at all. So there's that. Well, let's get back to the shop. We'll chit chat about a few little details. Again, kind of wrap up my thoughts of riding it after I get off it, and just kind of let everything absorb what I just experienced. And then again, stay tuned for the next video, because that is going to go into this dash in a lot of detail. I'm going to show you all the modes. We're going to kind of go over all the different little bits and bobs, the electronics behind what makes this bike the way that it is. You know, riding a 200 horsepower beast, especially with exhaust, it's like 216, I think. It can be intimidating. Oh, a little earlier, I thought the turn was later. It can be intimidating, but with the way they've made these motorcycles more and more approachable and better electronics, I'm not going to say they're a good beginner bike ever, but if you happen to get one as a first bike, it is less of a death sentence than it used to be. Anyways, let's get back to the shop. Alrighty everyone, we just got back from the ride with the Ducati Panigale V4S, the 2025 Beast. And here's some thoughts. It's a little noisy out here, so I do apologize for that. We got a lot of trucks and stuff. No big deal, but let's get into the good stuff. The looks. Be that as what may, you may like it, you may not like it. It looks rather good. Now, what do we like so far? The grips are fantastic. I love how these feel in the hand, nice and girthy. Another bit I want to point out with the throttle is the power delivery. It is very smooth. And I notice you'll see me ride and it feels twitchy, but that's me because I'm used to a bike that requires more revs to get the torque band that I like. So this having torque as low as it does, you can tell that difference right there just from riding styles. You need so much less throttle coming out of a corner than you do with the R, so I was having to modulate that a lot. That all being said, it was easy to learn, easy to figure out. Even in race A mode, where it's the most twitchy and most responsive, really dig how the throttle feels. The clutch, super easy to use, so much easier to use than the dry clutch. Suspension felt great. As far as, like, we didn't go on too rough of roads. There's some spots, but not too bad, and it held its own rather well. The high pures, I mean, are they better than the Stylimas? Probably. I don't notice any difference. They are fantastic, and they have great feedback. So there's that. This double-sided swing arm. This is, I'm not sure if it's a placebo effect or what, but I felt like there's more grip going around turns and coming out of corners than on any other Panigale I've ridden, including my R. And again, it's got to be because of that guy. This exhaust sounds fantastic. It's not crazy loud. Now, if you go on long highway rides, it might be loud. It might be annoying. Part of that maybe because the baffles are still in. Take those out, it might be more of a screamer. This part of the tank right here, it feels and looks more narrow. It feels again like 11 or 12.99 used to, where it's nice. You cinch in on the tank really well. And this bit here, you can really lock your knees in. On track, this is going to be fantastic. The mirrors, I mean, they still vibrate like crazy. What's the surprise there? We got another video coming up with the dash, so we're not going to go too crazy, but overall, I like the layout. It's easy to read, easy to navigate. The power and torque is honestly where I kept it the most. I like seeing that every once in a while, glancing down. I don't advise looking at it while you ride, but it's there. This seat is another major piece that I really liked. The way your body can move around on here, you just feel like you have miles to scoop back, and that's fantastic if you're a taller person. There's tons of real estate from the foot peg to the seat to the handlebars, that triangle. Fantastic. I will say the flat seat is kind of nice too. This almost reminds you of like a 1098, something along those in that era where the seat was a little bit wider, a little more bulbous, and even this section here. So I honestly think this looks more like 1098, 1099 versus the 996 or whatever they said, or 916 they said they were going after. But the seating position's great. It is tall. It's a rather tall bike. Someone mentioned on one of my videos, commenting on my inseam, 32, 33 inch inseam. I am on my tippy toes. So take that for what it's worth. The heat, I thought this might add a little heat to your legs. I know they designed it to pull the heat from the engine out away from you. You know, it sort of feels that way. Granted, it's like a 65-degree day, so tough to tell, but this didn't get crazy hot like it used to. This still is warm. This section is probably the warmest, but it's not unbearable. Again, not a ton of riding, so that'll remain to be seen. But ladies and gentlemen, overall, it's hard to argue with how this bike rides, and I really wanted to hold my full-on opinion and criticism or praise until I got my hands on it and finally threw a leg over it. And you know, I love Ducatis. This one does not disappoint. And honestly, the more I look at it, Christ, the more I like it. I know some comments are like, hey, you shouldn't need to be sold to ride it. Honestly, it's one of those slow burns, and I tend to like things that are more of a slow burn because they stay in your mind longer. As we got beeping in the background, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you've ridden one, please tell me what you've thought of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't ridden one, do you want to? And aside from the looks, what do you like about it or dislike about it? Stay tuned for the next video because we're going into the dash and all the little bits about it, because there's a lot of information, a lot of gadgetry that this sweet 2025 Ducati Panigale V4S has. So, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.